Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Before I get to the main subject for today, I do want to talk about another item for a minute. This is something that will be old news by the time you're watching this vlog because I record them the day before you see them. But William Barr, the Attorney General, held some kind of press conference today. I wasn't able to watch it, but press conference or an announcement or a briefing about the Pensacola shooting. I'm not going to get into that. Well, I'll just say briefly that the shooter, this was the shooting by a Saudi national of some soldiers on a military base. It turns out that, at least Barr is saying, that this Saudi had connections with Al-Qaeda. But that's not the main thing I want to talk about today. In that same announcement, Barr was asked about the Durham investigation, about the unmasking of Mike Flynn, about the whole rigmarole that's becoming known as Obamagate. He was asked whether among the potential criminal charges that, and Barr was not promising or was not predicting necessarily criminal charges, but he was asked specifically about Obama and Biden, whether, from what he knows so far, whether he foresaw any indictments of Obama and or Biden, and he said no. He said he did not expect either of them to be charged with any criminal offense. So just those of you who have been anticipating or hoping or thinking that there might be some prosecution or indictment of Obama and or Biden, looks like it's not going to happen. But that still leaves a big question. I think I'll be posing a couple of questions today. Actually, this first item, it's not a question, it's more a prediction. Well, it's not a prediction either. A prediction is predicting something in the future. So I guess we'll call this a post-diction because I'm projecting myself into the past and predicting what might have happened if things that we know today were known earlier. And oh, and by the way, I have to mention one more item because an Ohio paper is reporting, well, I'll put up the headline. I don't have it right in front of me, but I'll put up the headline. An Ohio paper is reporting that a whistleblower has come forward. So we'll see how much faith our Democratic friends put in whistleblowers when the whistleblowing is being blown on Democrats. This whistleblower said, according to the paper, that the Treasury Department was spying on Mike Flynn as far back as 2015, which gets to my question and my post-diction. The question is, we all remember, it wasn't that long ago, that the Democrats were trying to impeach Donald Trump over a phone call, one phone call with the president of Ukraine, a phone call where the Democrats accuse Donald Trump of asking the president of Ukraine to dig up dirt, quote unquote, dig up dirt on Joe Biden to help Trump win the election. There is no specific crime, no crime was alleged, just a general abuse of power. So this is the question. If that is an abuse of power to our Democratic friends and Mitt Romney, the only Republican to vote to impeach Trump, if that is an abuse of power, then what is everything that the Obama administration has done and condoned? Because we now know from this January 5th meeting that Obama knew. Obama knew before Sally Yates knew, and she was, in the Justice Department. She should have known first. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, just make my post-diction that if this had come out in 2015 when Obama was president, would he have been impeached? Would the Democrats have supported impeachment? Would they have voted to impeach Obama? I post-dict that the answer is no, they would not have, which is an example of double standard, but it's also an example of media bias, because we can just agree, I think, that the reporting would have been much different also if what's known about Obama and Brennan and Clapper and the whole bunch, had that been known earlier. We can just guess what the media would have done with it, which I would say another post-diction would have been nothing. Now, the reason I mention that is because I'm going to be talking about media bias at the very end, but I want to start out with this article about a Gallup poll of Trump. Here is the headline: Trump approval at Gallup, quote, highest, unquote, better than Obama, Bush. Despite a wave of critical news coverage, and this is the media bias I'm going to be getting to, despite a wave of critical news coverage and Democratic catcalls, President Trump sits at his, quote, highest, unquote, approval in the latest Gallup survey, and above where 4 of the last 6 presidents, including Barack Obama and George W. Bush, were at this point of the first term. After 2 weeks, count them, 2 weeks of bad news on the coronavirus and economic front, Trump maintained his 49% approval rating, and his disapproval crept up just 1 point to 48% in the Gallup survey of adults, a broad test. Gallup said that Trump's approval is, quote, tied for the best of his presidency, unquote. First of all, maintained his 49% approval rating. That means, that refers to the previous Gallup poll, which showed him at 49%. So 2 surveys, polls in a row from Gallup, both showing Trump at 49%. But now we know additionally that that is more than 4 of the previous 6 presidents at the same point in their presidencies, and that includes Barack Obama and George W. Bush. At 49%, Trump is a hair away from the generally accepted 50%, 51% approval political experts consider a lock to win re-election. Both Obama and Bush were at 50% approval on their re-election days. So Trump is just 1 percentage point away from the 50% approval rating that the quote-unquote experts say guarantees re-election. But with Trump, I would say that 49% is enough. I would also say that we have several months to go. I'm thinking that when we're past, which we will be by then, past this coronavirus crisis, people going back to work, the economy picking up, that Trump, well, he has a decent shot at reaching that 50% and maybe even higher. Now, the only caveat is that this is all adults, which is not as good as registered voters and definitely not as good as likely voters. Of likely voters, Trump has also been at 49% the last 2-3 days. I'm talking about the Rasmussen poll, but he was at 48% today, the day I'm recording this. And now we get to media bias. Some pollsters explain that there has been a backlash against the media's coverage of Trump and the coronavirus and the economy. In the latest McLaughlin and Associates survey, for example, 48% said the media has been unfair to 42% who said it has been fair. And here is their chart. You can look at it. 48% say the media has been unfair, 42% said it has been fair, and 10% didn't know or refused, or maybe they're one of these dead voters that the Democrats rely on to win close elections. But the big question, here is the big question, the most important question I want to ask is, if that's where Trump is, 49% after, I would say it's been a lot more than 2 weeks, but massive negative reporting of Donald Trump, 90%, sometimes over 90% negative reporting of Trump, and he is at 49%. So the big question is, what if the media had treated him fairly? And never mind treating him fairly, what if the media treated Trump the way the media treated Obama? Lord knows where Trump would be, but his approval definitely, I believe, would be above 49%, which gets us now to my final point, which is about media bias and Obamagate. Headline: Media must report truth of anti-Trump spy operation before it's too late for them. As new details emerge about the Obama administration's broad spying and leaking campaign against the incoming Trump administration, reporters have a choice to make about whether to cover this story honestly at long last. There is a brief window of time afforded the media to get the story right. They should take advantage of it. And what the article is referring to about a brief window of time to get the story right, that's not a reference to a brief window of time before the story dies or disappears. New details will continue to come out. Remember, we still haven't heard from John Durham yet. What this reporter is talking about is a brief window of time for the media to do its job before they are completely discredited, more discredited than they already are. Now the question is, will they take advantage of this window of time? I would not hold my breath personally, but once again, as I've said in so many previous vlogs, stay tuned. And while you're staying tuned, if it's not too much trouble, I would appreciate a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? There's a comment section below the video. You can also ask any questions you might have, suggest future topics. I love getting new subscribers, so subscribe. But finally, and most of all, come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.